Welcome to the Cold-Hearted Appraiser podcast. I'm Glenn Kangas, the Cold-Hearted Appraiser. Today we're going to talk about the Altadena fire area and some of the issues with buying and selling lots and damaged homes and just in an area that's been devastated by fire. My guest today is Michael Bell, a top agent in the area, top realtor in the area, and a friend of mine. And I just appreciate having you on, Mike. Brag about yourself. Tell me something about you that's different than I know.
Glenn, thanks for having me on. So I've been selling for about 25 years. I live in a little area called Bungalow Heaven. I'm about 8 blocks below what we call the Burn. And I'm sure most of your listeners know we had 6,100 homes burn in Altadena just over a year ago. I think we're progressing better than the Palisades and certainly better than Malibu.
Yes.
Malibu's 0 rebuilds, but Altadena is starting to see some good activity. But I've been on the end of helping people sell their lots. My aunt lost everything, and my sister-in-law lost everything. And when I say everything, it's everything they lost. Their purse, their car, everything.
Right.
So I've been helping a lot of families navigate that, and it's been rewarding. And I can't tell you that there's been some times you want to cry, and you want to be, and you want to be there with them. And everybody's got a story. They're not very good stories,
and everyone is worse than the last one.
They're horrific.
Yeah,
horrific stories. I'm fortunate. I don't know any of the 29 people that passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we can talk about this too, is, what's Altadena going to look like in 10 years?
Right.
Or is it going to take 20 years? But I've been fortunate enough to have a number of my clients call me and have me, I've been honored to sell their properties.
Right.
And I think I've sold, I just closed one a few days ago. I think it was my 13th lot.
Wow.
That I've sold. And I'm not out there trying to get these listings like other realtors. It's kind of like strolling through the obituaries to try to get a probate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not that guy.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of people that are trolling for listings. That's what they call it in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And every realtor does their business their own way.
Right. Yeah. No question about that. Yeah. So the purpose of our podcast today is really just to offer information to people who are wondering what they should do, how they should do it, and just figure out, how to deal with this tragedy that they've suffered, whether it was their family member or themselves. And so we just want to talk about some stories and some experiences and really just offer some just great nuggets for people if they're in a situation. We'll talk about a couple different things, whether they have a burned out lot completely or they have a fire damaged home or some other in between. I know you had a sale that somebody started something and then decided to do something different. So what can people use to help them make the best decision in such a horrible situation? So I appreciate having you on. I appreciate someone with so much experience in this arena.
So I've learned this process in a number of different ways. Let's talk about my wife's aunt.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's aunt, who's 72 and a widow, and she's had a house since 1972, and she had a 10,000 square foot lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when the fires happened, when the spark hit and started burning, we knew that this was getting bad. Now, most people that have lived in Altadena have gone through evacuations.
Correct.
This has happened many times.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of treat it, not this time.
Right.
There's not this time. This particular night, I told my wife, you need to call her. Give her a call. And she didn't pick up the phone. And we waited, called again. She wasn't answering. She finally answered the phone and said, "Why are you calling so much? I'm in the shower and I'm trying to cook." And my wife told her, "You need to get out right now."
Right.
So hung up the phone. And then I said, "This is stupid. She's 72 years old. Let's go and pick her up." At the time, I'm getting ready to evacuate my house.
Right.
And we still have the power on. So my wife gets into the car and drives up there. As she's driving up Lake Avenue, She calls me and she starts crying. She says it's just like a movie scene where everybody's trying to get out and everybody's going the wrong way on Lake Avenue, trying to evacuate. Wow. People are honking, the power is out, there's smoke all over the place. It's just like a movie.
Right.
And she's just freaking out. I'm like, you got to go get her. So she pulls up to the house, she gets into the car, and we drives to our house. She forgot her purse. She had her car in the garage. She turned the pan off for the gas, and left. The next morning, wake up. We decided to drive up there. They told everybody not to drive up there, but we drove up there anyway.
Right.
And they said, and there was no National Guard up at the time.
No, not
There's
that
power
time.
lines down all over the place. There's empty fire hoses all over the place. And you can't even tell where you are because the whole place looks like it. I don't know what something looks like if it's bombed out, but I imagine that's what it looks like.
Right.
And there's smokestacks and there's houses fully ablaze all over the place. There's little fires everywhere. It is so dark it's so covered in smoke. And we drove over to her house and it was just gone. I mean, absolutely gone. It's kind of crazy. As we drove up there, I don't know what I was thinking, but we decided to record the drive up.
Right.
I still have the recording.
Yeah.
And as we're going up, you just see these beautiful homes. Some of them, the fire just started. Some of them are halfway burned down. The other ones are just, there's a hole in the ground because most of these old homes have what's called California basements.
Mm-hmm.
There's a basement usually the size of the kitchen, and the whole house is basically collapsed into it.
Right.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
When we got up there, that I remember getting there. We brought our son, who's at the time 17 years old, and I remember him looking up at the sky, and he said, "Look, Pops, the moon." I said, "That's not the moon. That's the sun."
Right.
It looked like it would be the moon.
Yeah.
I would say Altadena lost 60% of its trees. I don't know what the number is. It's way up there. All the shrubbery is gone.
Yeah.
And her house, 3 blocks around, everything was just gone.
Right.
Absolutely gone.
Yeah, just driving through those neighborhoods afterwards, it's been so depressing to see just entire neighborhoods gone. I mean, nothing left, or 1 or 2 left. It just, the devastation is just unreal in those areas. What year built? Do you know if your mom, your aunt's house was?
That was a 1960s home. It was 1,100 square feet, three bed, one bath on a 10,000-foot lot.
Right.
On a gentle slope, on a cul-de-sac.
Right. Okay.
So she's 72 years old. She's a widow.
What's the process there? What's the process for someone in that situation?
She was not born in this country.
Mm-hmm.
She has a 7th grade education. Wonderful lady, street smarts. But this is different. This is a different animal for anybody and everybody, and for us. So she got lucky. She actually got brand new insurance a month earlier.
Oh wow, great!
And I don't want to berate any insurance company here, but there's one company out there that everybody hates, and she didn't have her insurance with them, and she had hers with a smaller. Well, actually, I think it's the National. It has 3 initials, and they start with A.
Right.
And they were fantastic to work with.
Uh-huh.
So there was a calculation trying to figure out what the structure was worth, what her personal items were worth, and we had to go through all of that and also prove to them what we had, which was easy because the insurance company was there a month earlier taking an inventory of the house.
Oh, okay, great.
So we got kind of lucky.
Yeah.
So the conversation is, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, I'll support you in anything you want to do. And she was living with us. We converted our garage into an ADU during COVID. So we had room for her. And I love her to death. And I was like, you can stay as long as you want, but you can't stay here forever.
Right.
She was in 272 square feet. It's just not enough space for her.
Yeah.
And she was fully insured, and she didn't have any debt on the house. So she got really lucky.
Okay.
So do you wait for the insurance settlement? Do you wait for the lawsuit settlement?
Right.
There's all these moving parts when anybody that's listening to this that has experienced this already knows.
Yes.
It depends on if you decide to buy something else. It depends if you have extended coverage, how much extended coverage. Do you have detached structures on your property? There's just a lot of moving parts to all of this.
Yes.
She decided she wanted to move on.
Right.
She didn't want to be in Altadena anymore. And so within about 2 months of her house burning down, we found her a cute little house 5 miles away in San Gabriel as a little fixer. And I think we got, the way I looked at it, I thought there was going to be an onslaught of buyers.
Right.
And we were in the very beginning of it. And we got her a sweet deal because we moved fast.
Right.
And we found her a place. She had insurance money that we fixed that house up for about $200,000. She had car insurance because her car, remember, got destroyed.
Yeah, yeah.
So she got herself a new car, and she's actually one of the few that's in a really good space. Mentally, financially, she did very, very well. Unfortunately, most people are not like that.
Right.
But she's pretty excited. It's been now a little over a year, but she moved into her place 6 months ago.
Okay.
And she's one of, chalk her up for one of the lucky ones.
Right.
And she was lucky to have us, and we got lucky with timing. She got lucky with your insurance, but most people don't have those.
Correct.
Those pieces of luck.
Yeah, I mean, she had obviously a lot of the ideal situations of, no debt on the house, a brand new insurance policy that just documented everything in the house.
Yep.
I mean, everything that you would want to be in a good shape that allowed her to decide quickly what to do. Definitely a good situation in that, because we definitely saw a lot of changes in the market. But the first thing we saw was a delay.
Yes.
Everything just stopped.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what was going on or what they were going to do. And it just takes time for people to process that, even in an ideal situation.
Literally shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still people I talk to when I do appraisals in the area that are still shell-shocked. They're still struggling with it. So, and every story is different. But that's a great success story that you're able to take advantage of, the positive attributes of her situation in spite of the fire.
And it's not really over yet, just because the Edison has not settled with anybody.
Correct.
They're offering pre-settlement packages. I don't think they've come out yet, or they're coming out soon, and that's for folks that don't want to engage in the lawsuit, and they'll just take a pre-settlement number. And now those numbers are also, it depends if you rebuild too, because
Correct.
if you rebuild, then it's a little bit easier to prove your damages.
Correct.
So a lot of folks are holding off because they want to be able to maximize their payouts, so they're holding on to their lots.
Right.
Or they're holding on to their lots for a number of other reasons. Maybe they can't sell because they have a loan on the property.
Right.
I mean, how many foreclosures are going on right now in Altadena?
Yeah, there's definitely been, I don't know the numbers, but definitely the numbers are up. I've talked to people who they had no other choice because they were recent purchasers, with a fairly high LTV mortgage, and obviously with the price of the lots now versus the price of the properties before the fire, they're just not in a situation where that can be remedied in any way, shape, or form. So it's definitely, again, every situation is different, and there's so many challenging
lots.
stories. Yeah,
A view lot. You can buy an amazing house before the fire that was built in the 1950s. That has an amazing view. That's on a hillside. You know how hard it is to rebuild that?
Yeah. Well, those are selling way less than they would have sold for previously.
Yeah.
And because you've got multiple problems in that situation. Number one, fire insurance.
Yep.
Right. And number two, the cost of construction on a lot that has grading issues and things like that. The builders are going to pay way less for those lots. Mm-hmm. If you're going to rebuild, your cost to rebuild is going to be way higher. So everything's changed in that area, even more so than in the flat areas because of that, because of grading issues and the cost of construction and things like that. So, yeah, it's definitely a big deal for people that they didn't have to deal with before.
And most of the lots I've sold have been relatively flat.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of some of them are a little bit of a slope, some a little bit more of maybe a 10% slope. which a lot of builders don't want something
Correct.
that's more than 9% because it winds up triggering all this other stuff with your engineering and your soils and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of nuances to it. Another nuance is there a pool there, or was there a pool?
So tell me, how have the pools been affecting the values? We've done some analysis of that, and it's with just the statistical analysis, it's really hard to get a clear picture of the effect of the pool. You think, oh, great, it's already got a pool. What are the issues over a property that has a pool still there?
Well, if it had a pool and it's been empty for a while, you kind of don't have a pool because everything's been it's been mucked up, and the pool is engineered to have water, and when you take the water out, you wind up destabilizing everything. So, and you also have to worry, when was the pool built? Some of these old pools, I mean, they're really hard to get out there. They could be 2 feet of concrete, and they're also really deep. They don't build deep pools anymore.
Right.
So, even today, does a pool really enhance the value of a house? I mean, I think that would be more of a question for you, but, I have clients that, after a little bit of a conversation, they'll say, I really want a pool. And I'm like, do you see yourself using it a lot? And sometimes you're better off getting a friend that has a pool.
Right.
Or being friends with the neighbor that has a pool.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you have a pool, you have more liability, and you have somebody in your backyard once a week.
Right.
And most people don't use their pools.
And the cost to maintain a pool is not inexpensive at all.
Yeah. But to yank a pool out can be... I mean, I sold a property on Altadena Drive about 2 months ago. The guy took this pool out, but it was partially above ground pool, but it was built in the 1960s. Everything, it was 2 feet of concrete.
Right, yeah.
The thing is, he had a really small lot on a busy street.
Right.
And he had a friend that pulled it out for about $50,000. Was it worth it? I don't know. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah. You just said it was hard to kind of quantify that.
Well, it is because, the difference is, just like you talked about, if there's water in it, and the pressure of the water keeping it in shape, and if it's a newer pool versus an older pool, it's just like anything in real estate.
Yeah.
An older thing has way more depreciation, a newer thing has less depreciation and needs less work or maintenance. People like having pools in Altadena historically, but maybe you want to reconfigure the way it sits on a lot. Maybe it's not at a great spot on the lot. There's a lot of factors. So a general rule, I don't know that there is one. I think it's much more specific about how old is the pool, where is the pool, those types of things. And has it been empty or not? That's a big deal as well. So I think that's been a fascinating thing. Tell me a story, as appraisers and as agents. This is new to us, right? In Southern California, we're not used to selling lots in a neighborhood, right? It's not vacant land. It's not acres down somewhere. It's a 7,000 square foot lot in an already developed area that now is not developed but is already platted and has lots and things like that. So what are the things that people need to be aware of that we're dealing with now as agents and appraisers and title and everybody to sell and buy these lots? What's going on?
Well, it's a little... So buying a lot with rebuild rights, anything that was basically burned down in Altadena, if there was a house there, you have what's called fast-track rebuild rights. And also on top of that, you have ADU rights. There's these state laws that they have to essentially fast-track you.
Right. And allow it.
And allow it. That's different. All of that is different than you just selling raw land that doesn't even have utilities. Maybe the utilities are in the street, but you never had utilities going to it. Maybe you don't even have an address. Maybe you just have a parcel number.
Right.
So an empty lot that's been burned down now, I should say, a lot that used to have a house and the house is burned down is probably worth a lot more than absolute pure raw land.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah. How much more? That's a good question for you.
Yes.
I would venture to guess 20 to 40% more.
Yeah, anything without utilities or things like that, you start factoring in the cost of, not just the cost of doing that, but I always talk about the hassle factor. If I have to do it, I want a discount. So if it costs $150,000 to connect all the utilities, I want to pay $200,000 less for that.
Yeah.
So if it's already got that, then obviously you're willing to pay more for it.
Yeah.
And we do have septic versus sewer in Altadena. Mm-hmm. So that can be a big difference. I don't know what kind of experience you've had in your sales, but septic versus sewer.
I just sold a property on Altapine. It has up on Altapine, which is the last street at the top of Lake.
It's way up there.
And that last street does not have sewers.
Right.
And to connect to the sewers, you'd actually have to somehow connect to the street below you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And but we were able to sell it because. And the new buyers are going to be able to utilize the existing. Now, it'd be a different story if you wanted to buy raw land there. Would they let you put a septic?
Right.
No, they just don't let you do any of that stuff.
You'd be forced
anymore.
to connect to sewer.
But now, with the rebuild rights and stuff like that, they're allowing that.
Yeah.
But there's other things to kind of, consider here. The nuances. For example, like oak trees. Not all oak trees got burned down.
Right.
There's a lot of oak trees, and oak trees are resilient, and the ones that have been up there for a few hundred years.
They're very resistant to fire.
Yeah, and they're charred, but there's a whole bunch of them. But the thing is, you can't build around an oak tree,
right,
around the drip line.
Yeah.
So that affects the value. It also affects the value if you're a corner lot versus a regular lot. A corner lot, think of it this way: if you have the ability of doing an ADU, which everybody kind of does. A corner lot is great for 2 units.
Yes.
For a developer.
Yes.
Because now you're not competing with somebody's backyard and all this other stuff. You can just partition them, and you have 2 detached, or you can have them attached. But a corner lot, I just sold a corner lot, and we just closed last Friday.
Right.
And the developer, there were 6 offers, and the guy that bought it, he's going to build 2 houses.
Right.
And the numbers, that's to be seen. I don't think the numbers work very well.
Right.
I'm not a developer.
But how does that lot sale versus other similar size lots that you sold that were not on a corner? Do you feel like that one went for more than the other ones?
I think it went. It seems like it maybe had more of maybe a 10% premium.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
There's so many moving parts, and look. I'm good. I'm not that good.
Right.
I don't know. You just never know where something's going to go. I'll tell you a story about this little lot. It was a corner lot, very flat, no oak trees, no trees of significance, no pool, and we put it on the market, and we got no offers for 2 weeks, and then I got 3 offers. I'm sorry, I got 6 offers in 3 days. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
All of a sudden, my phone's ringing. It's like, did somebody sprinkle magic dust on this thing?
Was it? Did you think you have it listed and they actually didn't post it till then? Or that's what it felt like, I'm sure.
You know what? As realtors, we all have little panic attacks sometimes.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, we did all the stuff. All the stuff we're supposed to do: the photos, the floor plan, the description. We posted here. And then you get no phone calls, because it does happen, even on great listings.
Sure.
Because everybody else thinks that everybody wants it. So everybody says, I don't think I'm going to go for it.
Right.
And so it's crickets for days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, my God. And so I will actually go on the MLS just to make sure it's there.
Yeah.
It's totally crazy.
Right.
But I'm not the only one that does that.
Right. Well, we've definitely seen, I just did a presentation for an office yesterday, and one of the things that we've tracked with the lot sales is the days on market for the properties that are selling. We're a little over a year after the fire. It's averaging over 100 days on market for the lots to sell. At the beginning, they were selling in 7 days, and they've just gradually crept up over that whole time period to now they're taking over 3 months on average. So 2 weeks or a month or something is actually pretty quick in the current market. But of course, your sellers aren't used to that, and they panic too, just like you panic. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just one thing to understand. We're in a market that's new to all of us, including sellers, including buyers. The buyers are trying to figure it out. Even the builders are trying to figure it out. A lot of builders bought a handful of lots, or 10 lots, or 15 lots, and stopped, and they're waiting to see, hey, when I build a house and sell it, did that make sense, yes or no? And then they'll go buy more once we get a sense of the market. So,
what I've been doing on my lot sales is I try to meet people where they're at, and a lot of people and even first-time investors don't exactly know what you can do with the property.
Right.
So if you go to my listings, I'll tell you what was there before, and what you could you can do 10% more. There's a calculation, and
right.
then you can also do an ADU. Brand new ADU in California is up to 1,200 square feet.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people call me going, "Well, that's really helpful."
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I hate to say it, this is standard information.
Yes.
But
yes.
people don't have the standard info. They don't.
Right.
You know, so I put that out there. But at the end of the day, you need to kind of figure out who your buyer is probably going to be and how they're going to look at that property and what you can build on there.
Right.
Because you don't want to go on the market overpriced because you're shooting yourself in the foot. But get feedback.
Right.
I love feedback.
Yeah.
And lazy realtors don't do this.
Right.
But you get a phone call and somebody's going to drive by that property. Pick up the phone a few days later and ask them, "Hey, I know you said you're going to drive by it, but can you give me some feedback on what you think of the property?" Now, it's hard to get feedback on empty lots because I don't know when they're driving by. It's different in a house.
Yeah.
They have to get an access code.
Yeah, you know when they're
and
by.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also pick up the phone and call the other agents.
Right.
I love picking up the phone and calling the other agents.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened with your deal? How many offers did you have? Was it silent for a while? What kind of a buyer do you have for this thing? And most agents will share that information.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most agents are great to work with.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So another thing that came up yesterday in conversation was, the builders and developers, right? There's obviously developers in the area, but they seem to really be focused on the $2 million around or so price range for their end product, which means they're looking for specific types of lots. Now we have other lots that are much bigger that would be more for a custom or a bigger development. Have you seen in your experience builders and developers looking at the bigger lots, or is that more individual buyers who want to build their dream house, dream estate, that type of thing?
So I had 3 quick sales in the first 3 months right after the fire. And what I noticed there were local investors that always wanted to build a house, and they were buying.
Right.
And it seems to me that a lot of that that those people did their thing.
Capacity has been filled on that front.
And I think in April of 2025 it seems like that's where it peaked.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Everything
the data
slowed
says
down.
That. Yeah.
And at that point too, this is not a secret anymore, but there's a guy that won the lottery. He won $2 billion.
Correct.
4 years ago, $2 billion. He cashed out. He did the cash out of $600 million.
Right.
And he bought a whole bunch of lots. He bought 2 of mine that were side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And when they wrote the offer, I called the agent. I'm like, "Is this the guy?" Because I saw his name.
Yeah.
And she said, "Don't tell anybody."
But everybody knew.
Here we
he
are
bought like 12 or 13 lots.
Well, what's funny is like a week later, he wound up getting interviewed in Pasadena Now and the Star News, and he was also on KTLA.
Right.
And he told everybody the lots that he bought.
Yeah.
So he bought 2 of mine.
Yeah.
So the secret's out. But he says he wants to build houses and for people that lost their homes, and I'm not sure. He doesn't really have the experience, but I'm sure he'll surround himself with the right people.
Yeah.
And I think his heart's in the right place, and I think I'm really happy. We got really good prices.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people that are trying to do a lot of good, and hopefully as many of them as possible will be successful at that, for sure. Tell me a quick story about not a vacant lot. Tell me about a house that suffered some damage, and what are the challenges for something like that? I know you had one where they started doing work and then decided against finishing. Maybe tell me that story.
I had a
really better
weird
one.
I had one of the most unique sales that happened a few months ago. It was on a street called Allen.
Right.
And it was across the street. None of the homes burned, but all of the garages in the backyard burned.
Oh, wow, okay.
And on my property, the house, most of the houses just north of it burned down. So this house itself, what wound up happening is the front bedroom burned and then burned itself out.
Oh, wow.
But once it burned, all of that garbage and soot and everything went through the house. So they had to take the drywall down. And then the smell was still there, so they took the insulation out.
Right.
And the smell was still there. So they used a product called Kilts. And Kilts is a sealant.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Sealant. And it's expensive. and they basically the whole house got stripped of the interior, all the light fixtures, everything, even the wood floors, and they sealed everything. And my client, she did not want to rebuild. She had actually remodeled the house a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then she had a mold issue, a really crazy random mold issue, and she had to gut the whole house again. And she didn't want to redo this for the third time, so she sold it.
Right.
And we wound up getting, so the buyer on that one was actually a developer, sorta, but he wanted to buy it for his daughter. And so he could fix it for his daughter, and she could live there. But from the exterior, it looks like a normal house.
Right.
You walk inside, and you're like, gee, this is, it's you can see right through the house on the interior. But that was an interesting one.
Well, and I remember, because I've been tracking the data since the fire happened, especially since we started having sales. And that property, I remember looking at it, but I didn't realize it was yours at the time. But it sold about $200,000 above what a similar vacant lot, vacant lots were selling for, even though it was on a traffic street and things like that. Yeah. So that's a great nuance to be aware of, is there is value even to a shell or even to some improvements on a property.
There's absolutely there's value to, and you know that at the end of the day you can only sell it once.
Yeah.
And you're going to eventually find a buyer. I tell my clients, just be patient. It could take 2 or 3 months. So what wound up happening on that one, the funny story, is we put it on the market for $950, and we got showings, a lot of showings, but no offers. And it was 6 weeks in, and we were actually talking about dropping the price by maybe $50,000.
Right.
And then, bing, 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 we got 3 offers in about the span of a week, and we had a bidding war, and it sold for over the asking price, and it was. I told my client, the person, I like to tell my clients what I think your highest paying buyer. I mean, there's a lot of buyers out there, but your highest paying buyer is, I think, what you should target.
Right.
In any of this. And I think your highest paying buyer is going to be somebody with the development skills, with cash, that maybe wants to do something for the family member, or hold on, because that buyer will pay more.
Yeah.
And if we focus on that, and we nailed it. We did a really, really good job on it.
That's a great piece of data for me as an appraiser, because it tells me about contributory value and things like that for a house that isn't fully burned. So in wrapping up our conversation here, let's talk about some key takeaways for somebody who's got a property in Altadena, whether it's a vacant lot or a single-family home that's been damaged or not. So the takeaways that I get from this are, number one, every situation is different. Number two, make sure you do due diligence. And then number 3, you obviously want an agent who knows the market and who has already got experience now. Not many are going to have experience, but you want the ones that have been through the wars. What other takeaways might you have from your experiences in selling and buying these properties?
Well, I'm for hire, so I love to help you. If you're listening to this, I'd love to. I think you should interview multiple agents. I think you should interview me. I think you should interview at least a few more agents. Not everybody's going to be the right fit for you. I think you should look at the track record. You should also make sure that they're not going to sell it off market unless you're okay with below market price.
Right.
But if you want market price, it needs to be marketed correctly. I think that you should meet people where they're at in terms of when you market the property. Let them know what you can build on that property.
Right.
It's not that hard to figure out. And if your agent can't figure it out, get another agent. I hate to say it. But definitely hire a local agent. You don't want somebody from out of area, because they don't know the trends. They don't know the neighborhoods. It just looks bad if you're selling your property and you use somebody that's 20 miles away. I'm sorry, but agents are going to be like, really? Like, there's a lot of good agents here. We don't know who that other person is. We don't know their reputation. And we figure they don't even know what they're doing.
Right, yeah.
And it could be overpriced or whatever. And I won't go out that far.
Right.
I'm local. A really good agent doesn't need to go out very far.
Yeah.
And I turn down business when it's far away.
Yeah.
So I'm super hyper local. And I think whoever you hire, even if it's a lot or an apartment or whatever, it really should be somebody that's very, very local and well known.
Yeah.
Our business is relationship business.
Yes.
Not only with our clients, but the other brokers.
Right.
And there's a reason why a lot of us are at the top of our game and do a lot of business. We communicate, we work with each other, we help each other out, and at the end of the day, that's always better for the seller.
For sure. Yeah, great advice, Mike. I really appreciate you being on the podcast and helping people out.
Thanks,
I think the one thing also that I didn't mention that I realized, be patient, right? This is new to everybody. It's not going to go super fast. If it does, great. But be patient. There's a unique situation, and it's not going to be easy. So thanks again for appearing on the Cold Hearted Appraiser podcast. Hopefully you like the podcast. You follow us. Follow me on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.